Hey folks, we are out here at Nowhere Beach on this glorious sunny morning, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Ownboard Bamboo. And welcome back. You know what we're here for, so let's get started. The Ownboard GT. What makes this board so special? The answer might surprise you, because it's nothing. Now, that might sound a bit harsh, but there's actually quite a bit of value in that lack of uniqueness. The Ownboard Bamboo GT takes the now standard formula of a drop-through deck and dual kingpin trucks and manages to sprinkle in a few cosmetic and functional tweaks that all come together to make a rather decent board that comes in about $500 to $700 cheaper than most comparable boards in this class and form factor. To address the elephant in the room, other comparable boards means the Evolve GTR. So let's get this out of the way now. On paper, the Ownboard Bamboo and the Evolve GTR are almost identical in the specs department, with the main difference being the ESC and choice of battery cells and motor size, with Ownboard opting for the standard Hobbywing ESC and Sanyo 18650 cells, and Evolve using their proprietary ESC and Samsung 35E cells. They both have a 504 watt-hour 10S4P battery and a top speed of 26 to 27 miles per hour. But this is not a comparison video. We're here to talk about the Ownboard, so I'll save my thoughts for both boards in a comparison for another time. As you may have noticed, I opted for the GT or street configuration with the 120mm cloud wheels, which work out well in tandem with the dual kingpin trucks, allowing for deep carving as well as some degree of mixed terrain riding. They do offer a kit with both, but following Daniel Kwan's review, I opted to skip the AT wheels entirely. The cloud wheels are great for the small to medium dips and cracks of the urban jungle. However, their performance on more challenging terrain like loose gravel and or mud will vary and is not recommended for extended riding. But for normal riding over cracked pavement, tile, brick, or dirt paths, they will offer more comfort and control than regular urethane wheels, and provide smoother turning and carving when used in conjunction with these dual kingpin trucks. Moving on. The remote was a bit of a mixed bag for me. While I appreciate the upgrade from the standard generic Hobbywing remote to the new model with telemetry and an OLED screen, I can't say the ergonomics of the new version have really grown on me all that much. The body of the new remote is wider and it felt like I could never get a good grip on it, especially when holding it while wearing my flatland gloves. In a few cases, I opted to switch back to the older style of remote as they also included the original Hobbywing remote in the box. Another issue I ran into was the throttle wheel. While not everyone will have this problem, the small gap between the case and the scroll wheel causes the skin of my thumb to get wedged between the case and the wheel sometimes when pulling back on the throttle. But maybe I just have fat thumbs, so this might not be an issue for you. I did, however, appreciate that they include both the new and old style remotes with the board, since it's always good to have a spare. Though by the time this video is released, they may only be shipping them out with the new remote, so if you want the extra remote, I would recommend emailing them first to ask. Build-wise, the deck feels sturdy, and I never felt like anything break or snap when pushing the board into hard banks and turns during my testing. However, it does bear mentioning at this point that after about 2 weeks the charge port died, and then the BMS went out shortly after, and so I had to reach out to Ownboard's service department for a replacement, which they sent after about 3 weeks. You can see the original battery pack on the top, and the new replacement below. While I did not actually test this, I believe the issue is related to the step-down DC converter for the USB port, which you can see is absent on the replacement board. They also potted the entire battery section in epoxy on the replacement, which makes me wonder if the original design perhaps had some issues with moisture getting into the case. While potting the electronics would definitely address that issue, I noticed it also added I wouldn't say considerable, but definitely noticeable amount of heft when compared to the original. So it's certainly a trade-off, and who knows in the long run whether or not that may affect your range or performance. Overall though, I don't want my experience to discourage you. Ownboard service department was very friendly, responsive, and professional. And the service warranty was honored in my case, so I have no complaints. Other than I basically was without a board for about 3 weeks. given the current situation, I feel that's more than acceptable in my mind. As for performance, acceleration and throttle response were good. The braking was decently torquey, if not maybe a little bit soft, as the braking profile on Hobbywing ESCs usually are. But it managed to climb a decent 22% grade. It's actually Mississippi Street in San Francisco if you're curious and want to attempt it yourself, with little to no struggle. I did bottom out a little bit towards the top, but otherwise there was no loss of traction or control, and the braking was consistent and smooth on the return trip going back down. As for speed, it's a bit of a mixed bag. In its stock configuration, I found the board stable up to around 18 to 20 miles per hour, but anything beyond that, it started to feel a little bit loose. However, I reached out to Brad over at Riptide Sports about potentially coming up with a solution to this, and wound up replacing the stock bushings with some of his crank street barrels. Alright, let's get out of the garage and find some sun. After fitting the harder bushings on the rear trucks, I found the stability had increased significantly, but still felt a little bit dodgy around 22 to 23. This upgrade cost me about $40, and I'll include a link down to Brad's shop in the description if you want to check that out for yourself if you think about getting this board. If you're looking for a board for speed, though, you may want to look at a more traditional reverse kingpin setup. But if you want a board that can take hard turns and let you carve very deeply, it's an absolute treat at 18 to 20 miles per hour. And I think that most people looking at getting this board will find that plenty. Range-wise, I've not actually managed to drain the battery fully. The closest I got was getting it down to around 2 bars after a morning of riding through SF. That was actually the same ride where I took it up Mississippi Street, so that definitely put a dent in the battery as well. It was about 16 to 18 miles total. The advertised range of this board is 26 miles, and in my experience, with the slightly speed limiting factor of the trucks and depending on your style of riding and mixed with the terrain and how many hills are in your area, I could definitely see this getting close to that. At least 20 plus miles or 32 kilometers for you metric folks. That being said, this is actually the first production board that I have yet to feel range anxiety on. When taking it out and riding regularly, I never look down to see how many bars I have left, and it's just been nice to focus on riding and carving and just generally getting the feel of the board. So, would I recommend the Ownboard Bamboo GT? Yes, the performance to cost ratio here cannot be ignored, and despite a few mechanical and personal quirks with the design, it's well built, and while some more experienced riders may find the Bamboo a bit tame, for new and first-time buyers, the Bamboo offers exceptional value and performance. It's also worth noting at this point that I purchased this board directly and was in no way compensated for this video, and any links included in the description are non-affiliate links. Okay, let's ride, and please don't forget to like and subscribe.